Good morning, everyone. This is my team, and we're going to talk. This is our Capstone Project. We're going to talk a little bit about critical literacy and how this is facing the current situation here in Colombia. And we based a little bit about this micro paper about critical literacy, and we wanted to take some um, principal ideas, main ideas, better, to talk a little bit about what's happening right now and how we actually need critical literacy in the moments we are facing, and how we can change that through this. Because here it says that we need to start reading the word and the world, as well as have in mind some of the features that Paulo Freire suggested at the beginning, to refer that actually language is not neutral, and that we need to start playing with that, and that how that can create many discourses. So our team is, how you can see, Valentina and Juan Guillermo, and I'm going to start sharing so we can start a little discussion about this.
Yeah, so we want to talk about principally who is excluded during this process and who is included. So we want to take the main points of each side about the Colombian situation right now, 25 May 2021. So we got some notices and some news about the situation. So who wants to start?
Regarding our discussion that we are going to develop right now, I think that it is important to start or to begin talking about a little bit the information that we have searched. I think that we can do this as 1 point in favor, 1 point against. So it is perfect if you start, Vale. If you start sharing us one of the arguments in favor and to discuss it in terms of critical literacy.
Right. So one of the main points of these strikes is the fact of the police abuse. I think everyone who lives in Colombia is seeing all the violence they are using against the protesters. So that's one of the more famous motivations for the continuing of the strikes.
And just to add and clarify a little bit, this position is actually more based on the side that is that agrees with this kind of current strikes. Usually, the people that it's against don't really think. I mean, not that think. Of course, they see it, but what I have seen in the conversations in Power and many newspapers is that the people that is against, that doesn't really care about police abuse, it's against the strike. So it's important to current that the people who it doesn't, I mean, how I say this, like the people who really fight against police abuse, it wants to go and start the strikes and wants to fight for pacific protest. Yeah, that's the word that I was searching. Sorry.
Yeah, and okay, it's obvious that this discourse is maybe not taking into account like families, police position, or the government's position. So I would say in this specific discourse, we are excluding the government and of course all the members of the police, and we are including to the manifestators.
To continue with this point, I'd like to point out one thing regarding what the people says against this first point. You can see in the newspapers such as as Washington Post, that the situation of these strikes has been present in our country since 2019. So that means that there is like a background situation that has led our country to this point, the point that we are right now facing. Now, if you want to analyze the discourse of the males, of the daily males that are like against the strikes, you can see two main points. The first point is that they are not against the strikes; they are against the riots, the violence. Is the first point. They are that they respect actually the right to protest, but they don't want it to be violent, to becoming riots, for example. Now, the second point regarding who has been excluded, you can see from El Tiempo, they take some narrations from police officers who said that they were tired because they have to work two times, or I mean twice more work. They have twice more work that they had some days ago, and the same sources claims that not only the people has been hurt, but also the police officers. If I'm not wrong, 800, 800 police officers have been harmed, and one has been killed pitifully. So that is the discourse that they use against the first argument that you, Vale, have brought here. And I think that from that point, they have completely excluded for discourse purposes the people the people that has been hurt by the police officers. They didn't mention that in any time. And I think that the number of people that has been affected for this situation directly, I mean, to be hurt or to be killed, is considerably bigger than the amount of police officers that have been harmed. So that is my opinion. But that's what the other side says regarding this situation.
Also, I wanted to add to what Juan Guillermo just said, that in terms of social justice and in the part of who is being excluded, they also don't mention all the harm and all many, how you say that, all the damage that many policemen have caused during the strikes, because they have been many scandals about not just the use of force, but sexual abuse and many other conflicts with police, and they are very, very serious. So I think it's important to mention that, and that's it. And now we can go next with the next point.
And okay, but before moving to the next one, I'm sorry, I just want to say something. And it's I'm not sure if you have seen the last news, but they are not in El Tiempo or El Colombiano or RCN or Caracol. But there are some videos in which people is finding bodies of missing people, and most of them are burned and in really bad conditions. So yeah, one or two dead people doesn't compare with the big quantity of people who have died of the other side. And the next point I have is okay, there is no more that reform who exploited all this situation, but we still have a labor, pension, and judicial reform. So people is asking, why do they continue with the strikes? So this is another really important point, and it's how much guarantees are they going to take off from us?
Yes.
From the sources that I have brought here, um, yeah, in fact, you can see that when they are talking about the situations that they are trying to not appear in public, because that is the purpose of not talking about that, to not to show the reality, because that is one of the things that papers can do with language. I think that is a crucial part of critical literacy, because they are able, by writing and by the speech and by the discourse, to to influence people. I mean, language, not only from Freire, but also from the concepts of La Rosa, who talks about experience. You can see that the language is a powerful stuff, and through it you can influence people to think about something. So yeah, those kind of situations don't appear. And when we are talking about the abuses from the police officers, you can see that they use a kind of language like, well, they are going to talk about, like, to give their version to the government, or to the department in charge of justice here in Colombia. I like to remember all you, and to remind all the partners that will listen to this, that the police officers have like kind of special kind of justice only for them, right? When there is a situation regarding their labor. So they just say that they are going to give their version and they are going to investigate, like they say always. But there is no really, as of like for the last days, there are no like results about those investigations, or you cannot see that in the papers against the strikes, unless they are like with the purpose of like cleaning the names of the police officers. I mean, I don't know if you get my idea. They won't talk about those topics unless the police officer is the one who wins the case. Okay, go ahead, Kata.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit about the question and about Juan Guillermo was just saying, it's also really complex, the position that many politicians are taking about all these taxes that the government wants to, um, you know, make us pay. Because first we ended up with this reform, but then there's others, how Vale mentioned, but many politicians are like, for example, I know that Petro, according to an article from the Silla, and that also appeared in El Tiempo, said that like once we ended up with this reform, like why we keep striking, like the process should be over now. And he was like handed out a little bit because, as you already know, he's one of the candidates to be president, so he doesn't want to be too involved into it. Like he said that, but then like, hey, we're going to protest, like we're ready. So we need a little more support, and of course, doesn't mean that because we ended up with this horrible reform that implemented many, many, many taxes, they're going to implement more, because we also knew about the health reform. I don't know if this reform is the correct word, but yeah, like we need to stop with that. We know that we need a reform, but because of the current COVID crisis, but like it's not the way. And yeah, next point.
Yeah, even there were many economists that were against the strikes because they said like, okay, this tax reform was perfect. It fixed like every single tax gasp. But the problem here is that, yeah, it It does. I mean, it will do it, but with whose money? With the it will do it for from the pocket of poor people, and that's not the right way, in my opinion, right? So that's the matter with that pack of reforms. They're okay if we need to do it. Well, we need to do it, but it's terrible that you pretend to do it, like with the money of poor people instead of rich people. And the next main point of the why people is protesting is that many of them are asking for Duque.
Go
Yeah,
out the
they want
direction of
a reassignation of president. So about this, I think this side is not taking into account democracy because yeah, it's no secret to anyone that there is corruption, but to pretend, yeah, overthrow is not very democratical from their part, actually.
Yeah, we debated about this before about how it's kind of necessary to actually respect that he get to the presidents like fairly. Like I know, like we don't have like this quote, but we know bunches of people who we knew that we're going to vote for him, and that it's not really like a surprise when he won. Like he had the majority, he had the people. So yeah, like make him like quit his job, like that's not, I don't think he's going to do that either because he won fairly, and being a president has like a lot of benefits as we talked before. So I think that the important thing is to start the call for being critical in the next elections.
exactly. That's the point that I wanted to talk about. I mean, you can see that we have chosen a politician as a leader that had no experience, that was had no a huge curriculum like behind him to support the decision of the population. However, this is democracy, and it is enough with one vote to decide who is the winner and who lost. I think that the reflection should be that we have to be critical when we are voting, when we are deciding who's gonna lead our country, um, and 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 regarding corruption, as a personal opinion, I think that it doesn't matter which kind of reform you want to implement. It is gonna affect the population anyhow. It doesn't matter if you are poor or if you are rich. Um, the rights are for everybody, and everybody has the same rights. So I consider the same as an injustice to pretend that the richer people should pay quite more. I mean, of course, in terms of gadget, they should pay more because they win more, but they are not exclusively in charge of like taking care of or to solve the mistakes that the same government has like created. I mean, it is not only corruption; is the situation that we have faced for this pandemic. And I think that yeah, the only thing that we can do is to vote properly, to choose well who's gonna lead our country, and to know how to vote not only in the presidential elections, but also in the I don't remember how to say consejo. En inglés, ¿cómo se dice eso?
In every next elections that we have.
Well, yeah, exactly. In all these elections regarding the politicians of this country, we should be careful because it's not only the president. is the whole government who decides the reforms and all the stuff regarding the budget here in our country.
Of course, if we don't have like an appropriate council, all we do is for nothing. Yeah, you're right. So it's time to get a conclusion, and I would say both sides are missing critical literacy actually, in different points and yeah, in different ways. But I think both sides are missing a critical literacy.
Yeah, we definitely agree on that because we can see that many people that goes and go to the strikes and protests don't know like what really are there. And as the same, and the people also don't know what they're going outside or what is necessary to go outside or what are the main points of the things that are happening because sometimes we since we have so many individual interests like sometimes the thing can kind of be mixed so we definitely need one and I think that it's important to include this as a conclusion for including this in schools. We also wanted to cite this paper of critical literacy also as a primer from Alan Luke, and we were talking about how this paper mentioned how this is important in schools and how because in right now in this same moment students are in the same position as us. We have like so many information, so many sources, so many news, and they need to know that they cannot believe everything that Caracol is saying or RTN or any other source like or example or Semana or I can name like all these things. Even the New York Times, like don't even just believe because it's the New York Times. Like you need to kind of be careful with what you're reading and why are they saying this. Because this is like arrived to an international point that this is not just a thing that is happening in Colombia. Many people are talking about this. So I think it is important, and especially for teachers, because teachers can make a difference. I know that this is like a delicate conversation because you want to be political, not partisan. So it is important, but I remember that many of my, I don't know, political ideas or many things that I wanted right now came from teachers that were not scared of saying what was they believe. Of course, they were not saying like you have to believe this, but they mentioned what they think about many situations here in Colombia, and if teachers implement critical literacy and try to analyze all the discourses, how we did right now, like who is included, who is excluded, why are we doing this, why don't we write something different? So it's kind of about that.
Okay, to conclude from my side, I think that both of my partners have very clear ideas. Um, and, and I just like to point out something else. Uh, yeah, definitely the change for this situation starts from school. I mean, if we are able to, if we as teachers are able to include this kind of topics naturally, I mean, not influencing directly people to think as we think, but just to show them the different perspectives that we have in our society, I think that the change will begin from that. Um, as Catalina has mentioned, there are many people that well we are on strike, but we don't know why really. We are just on strike because we want to be, but not for any specific purpose. I think that that's something that we as teachers can change if we teach and we include this kind of topics in our curriculums. I think that we can help and we can like encourage students to get informed properly about what's happening in their context. Um, and and yeah, remember that the same phrase said that you cannot be a teacher without being yourself. So if you want to teach, it is impossible to not include your personal opinions, and you should not be afraid about that. You should be afraid about like affecting and influencing students to think as you think. That's the bad stuff. But if you are willing to teach, and this is a risk. I mean, it's a risk to talk about these kind of topics, and you take that risk. I'm sure that the time itself will show that it matters, and it works, and it is worth. So that's my conclusion, and I don't know what else we are going to say. I think that it is all.
Yeah, I want to say you too. Thank you for this wonderful chatting. It was amazing, and yep, I think it will be everything.
Okay, see you next time. Bye.
Bye. See you all. Bye.